For those that don't know who Jenni Rivera was, she was a popular Mexican artist. How she got on my radar was through my grandmother and my mother. I look at her, I think about her, and I think about Whitney Houston in the same conversation. You know what I'm saying? They were packaged and given to the people as the girl next door. And sometimes those girls next door are not as girl next door as the public or the court of public opinion would want them to be, right? Early in Whitney Houston's career, nobody knew that. They thought when she got with Bobby Brown that Bobby had manipulated her and brought her to the streets. And later on in her career, you saw that she was a free spirit, man. She liked to do her own thing. And from my understanding, she was the influence on Bobby. Doesn't mean she was a horrible person. Just means she was herself. But what they gave us was something different. And we might be looking into this Jenni Rivera case and seeing that she just wasn't the girl next door, right? And sometimes when the girl next door, when they go off into dark territory, sometimes they don't make it back. So we're gonna look into this and see if this was a case of a plane fell out the sky, an accident, a tragedy, or if somebody made that plane fall out the sky. And at the end of it all, you guys can have your own opinion. I'll come up with mine, but we'll go through it together. Jenni Rivera tied to rug cartels, witness says in Mexican report. All right, this is from 2013, Huffington Post. It says Mexican-American singer Jenni Rivera, who was unalived in a tragic plane crash last month, may have had ties to rug cartels, according to reports in the Mexican media. A protected witness identified by the alias Jennifer told Mexican Daily Reforma that alleged rug cartel kingpin Edgar La Barbie Valdez Villarreal contracted Rivera for parties. We know a lot of artists that do this, right? A lot of artists take money from whoever comes with the money, right? You're going to go do the big show. They got the big money. You're going to take the money, right? That's what you do. You're not questioning where it's coming from or what it is. But what happens is you become frequent. You become friends, business associates. Things get close. You know what I'm saying? And that could be detrimental to you. The witness, Jennifer, worked as a lawyer for the Beltran Leyva cartel, according to Reforma. The lawyer also said La Barbie once kicked Rivera in order to humiliate her, and that she snorted brocaine at cartel parties. I've heard more. I don't know if they're going to get into it in this, but I've heard that he also made her do actual things, all right, in front of people at his behest, is what I hear. While Rivera denied connections to rug traffickers, her family helped popularize the controversial genre known as narcocorridos, border ballads, songs that tell the story of the larger-than-life figures that dominate the rug trade. Now, we know, we talk a lot about corridos here. We talk a lot about corridos here because we seem to hear everybody picking and choosing who's a snitch and who's not. And some guys are snitches and they get the finger pointed at them, and then some guys are snitches and they get a song made glorifying everything about them except for the fact that they're a snitch or a child abuser or a chomo or a PDF file, right? They still get their narco corridos. We also know that narco corridos became the type of thing where you didn't just get it on your legend. You could pay for somebody to get it, right? You could pay an artist to make a song glorifying you, glorifying all your dirty, psychopathic, sociopathic deeds, right? We know that. Back in the day, they made songs of legend. But now you hear these songs and they're just plastic because it's some dude paid for somebody else to stroke his ego. The allegations had originally surfaced in 2009, according to Fox News Latino. Rivera denied being contracted for parties by rug lords at the time. While Rivera denied connections to rug traffickers, her family helped popularize the controversial genre known as narco corridos, border ballads, songs that tell the story of the larger-than-life figures that dominate the rug trade. Jenni's father, Pedro Rivera, a music producer, was the first to release records by Chalino Sanchez, who became known as the godfather of the Mexican narco corrido. For those that don't know who Chalino Sanchez is, Chalino Sanchez was also known in the streets somewhat as a gangster, right? Known to, do what he got to do when it's time to do what he got to do. So supposedly somebody came at his sister, did something foul to his sister. So, he smoked buddy in the club. Chalino was one of the original narco corrido guys, right? And his fate, there's a video where he's on stage and he's handed a note and he reads the note. And this note was his unaliving threat, right? He was threatened with unaliving through this note while he was on stage in the party. The irony that old girl's father, Jenni's father, was his producer and one of the architects of the narco corrido. This is him reading the letter. Just reading it. We gonna get you. Whew, wipes the sweat from his brow. Picks up his microphone. Looks around the room. Gets to singing. All right? That night, the man ended up over. Right? He ended up unalived. So I believe there's a tinge of irony in the fact that her father was his original producer, which would tell me that not only he's been in the music business for a long time, but he's been around the gangster business for a long time. Those things mean something. Jenni's father, Pedro Rivera, a music producer, was the first to release records by Chalino Sanchez, who became known as the godfather of the Mexican narco corrido. A favorable narco corrido can fetch anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000, according to Edmundo Perez, author of May They Bury Me with Narco Corridos. But it's not a safe way to make a living. Perez's research turned up some 50 narco corrido musicians who had died in circumstances that led the author to suspect the involvement of drug cartels. It's only obvious, right? They're getting paid to make these ego-stroking songs. We've had this conversation before about how Peso Pluma, Fuerza Regida, how Chuy Montana went down. We don't know that was cartel related. I don't think the Chuy Montana situation was cartel related. That was just some hater shit. We've seen them say that, Fuerza can't come to Mexico or, come to whatever certain towns, specific towns or whatever. And I've seen the same about Peso Pluma. People have their alliances, their connections. They pick the side, their ganga, their gang, no matter what they do, even if they're PDF files and chomos. But we see them have problems with the music business. Why? Because just like in rap, the streets gets involved. The streets gets involved in the music business, and that's when things get heavy. The streets have always been involved in the music business, in the movie business, all of it. Pre-mafia days, there's people have had their hands in other people's plate, right? That author said it's not a good business to be in. He saw 50 of them go. What made him suspect they were in drug cartels, right? Rivera was unalived on December 9th when her plane went into a 28,000-foot nosedive on its way from the northern Mexico city of Monterrey to Toluca, unaliving her and her 6 companions. It's not clear what caused the crash. Makes you think of Aliyah as well. So what have we learned from that article? We learned from that article that there was word through witness testimony that Jenni dabbled in the street. Jenni dabbled in the cartel world. She probably liked the bad guy. They like the bad guy until the bad guy smacking them up. And what happens with power, absolute power, when put in the hands of psychos? They smack you up. They do the Diddy stuff. They make you do things with other people. They make you do things in front of people. They make you do things you don't want to do. We know that these same individuals are capable of torture, kidnapping, unaliving children, abusing children. We know that a lot of these guys are into physical manipulation. I gotta say the word. They're gonna demonetize this video, but it is what it is, torture. And I laugh at the irony sometimes, and some people judge me for it. I laugh at the irony and I say to myself, well, I watched a video of La Barbie sitting, shivering, right? Asking for water right after they chased him down and they caught him. And it was ironic to me that this tough guy, this guy with all this power, that kicks Jenni Rivera, smacks her up, makes her do things in front of people. This dude that physically manipulated people, physically kidnapped people, physically unalived people in real life may have even deprived people of water. The fact that he was sitting there asking the police for water, I thought it was funny, I thought it was ironic, and I thought it was some bullshit. All at the same time, because y'all be glorifying these fucking guys. And when the power's gone, it's a wrap. When the power's gone, they're looking for water. They got the power until it's not there no more, and then it does them no good. Now they can't get some water, please. Well, I mean, why should I give you water? You didn't deprive people of water. All of a sudden, that psychopath isn't himself anymore, huh? So we learned from this that she dabbled in the street. She might have liked the bad boy. She might have had a close relationship with the Barbie, and who knows who else. We know that he smacked her up. We know that he made her do things. This is according to witness testimony. And we know her plane went down. 28,000 feet into a nosedive. With these young ladies that like to walk on the wild side, sometimes shit just get a little too thick, right? Things get a little too dangerous. Things get a little out of control, a little bit more than you're comfortable with, right? My dears, that right there is just the beginning. And it seems with her, she got to a point where she was afraid. She got to the point where she felt like she might have made a mistake. And she felt like she had to tell somebody. She felt like she had to get the information to somebody. If you're a mom to young ladies, it's not like the old days where you told the kids stories and the kids didn't believe you, right? You got YouTube. You could show them what a piece of shit man looks like. You could show them what happens at the house party when it gets aired out. You could show them what happens when they've been drinking and partying with the wrong people and they end up going 200 miles an hour down a highway on a motorcycle or 120 miles an hour in a car. And you can show them these things now. Make sure you do your due diligence. Because you don't have to be Jenni Rivera for your life to take a nosedive because you made the wrong decision. I just want to let that be known, all right?
Realizadas alrededor de 11
We're going to do an interview that was conducted around 11 years ago
a petición de ella,
with Jenni Rivera at her request,
si faltara,
so that if her presence was missing, it would be known.
Para evitar confusión,
I waited a long time to avoid confusion, suspicions, conspiracy theories.
Para lanzarla, y hoy,
7 years of an experience to launch it today. It took 10 years to fulfill it. 10 years after her unaliving, I want to reintroduce her to all those who love Jenni Rivera. Enjoy. Enjoy her last words on a microphone. You will hear together with Chiquis and Jenni Rivera, her children, an unpublished interview of Jenni Rivera's farewell, when she felt that her life was in danger. She wanted to give me this interview, and obviously, this was so that you could listen to it later.
Bueno, pues chicos, bienvenidos.
Thank you, welcome.
Un día que no sabía yo exactamente.
Today that I didn't know exactly when it was going to arrive, but I knew it would arrive.
Chiquis, gracias por
Chiquis, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Johnny, thank you.
No me había tocado conversar contigo ahora ya de grande.
I haven't been able to talk to you as an adult. I knew you as a child. Your mother had a lot of pride in you, and she told me many great things about you.
Siempre andaba de travieso antes.
He said I was a bad kid, but I'm good now.
Yo me comporto muy bien.
When we're finding our life and when we're in search of our life, we're a little wild.
Ya, como yo, ya estamos rucos.
Now when we're older, we're crazy.
Muchachos, pues,
guys,
así brevemente
briefly,
les comento, ya más o menos habíamos platicado.
I'll tell you more or less.
Un día del mes, no sé si de junio, no recuerdo.
One day in June,
pero ahorita lo vamos a saber. Jenni vino a hacer no sé qué entrevista o qué cosa.
Came to do an interview or something.
Y yo le iba acompañando.
And I was walking her
dijo,
up the stairs.
¿Me puede entrevistar?
And she said, "Hey, can you interview me?"
Sí.
I said, "Yeah."
Le dije, sí,
it was a little strange, but I said yes.
Me dijo, pero ahorita. Le dije,
she's like right now, but just us.
¿De qué se trata esto? Me dijo, pero más creo que estemos usted y yo, que no esté ninguna otra persona, por lo que le voy a decir.
Nobody else.
Ya me empecé yo a intrigar.
It's an interview where things are revealed
no
that
están muy claras aún.
That are not very clear.
Entonces una entrevista inédita. Ella
it's an unpublished interview.
Porque había recibido amenazas de muerte.
She said in the interview that she had received unaliving threats. So she wanted to leave a testimony. All right, so there's no, what are we going to do? Not believe her? Right? I don't believe everybody or anybody of, just cause, right? But there's no reason for her to have this conversation with him. There's no reason for her to, and again, somebody said in here, Zoraida, Pepe and her were really good friends. There's no reason for her to do this with him if it's not real, if she didn't feel afraid. So it's clear as day that something was going on. And he just said it out loud, so there's no covering that up.
Dijo, yo quiero que escuche la gente.
She said, I want the people to listen to this interview, including the children.
Muchos años desde el
I've let many years pass
Jenni,
since Jenni's unaliving.
Pensé que algo me dice en mi corazón que este es el año donde.
And something in my heart told me that this was the year that we have to reveal this and share this. The son says, I want to tell you that I appreciate the gesture.
Pues es una cosa de mucho respeto que
because it's something of great respect
antes de
that you asked of us first before doing anything.
Pues agradezco esto.
And I thank you for that.
Las cosas que están inéditas de mi mamá
the things that are unpublished about my mother are very important to me.
Encuentro algo nuevo.
So when I find something new,
un detalle muy grande para mí.
It's a very big detail for me.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Si quieren, comenzamos.
If you want, let's start. It's been a while since I've talked to Jenni on the air.
Tenemos mucho tiempo que no tenemos una entrevista, mi querida Diva.
Sí, Pepe, desde que usted es grande y famoso y
since you're big and famous, she said, and powerful.
No, esta es una entrevista que podría estar haciendo cualquier otra persona, pero no.
This is an interview anyone else could be doing.
En teoría nunca saldría al aire. Esperamos que nunca.
But we're hoping this interview never goes to air. That's what we hope. We have faith in the world that it never goes to air. That's why I dare to be calm and relaxed.
No muy preocupado.
I'm not very worried.
But
you want to leave a testimony of something that is happening at this moment in your life. This is an interview that will probably never be heard anymore. I don't even want to think about that, but there's a situation in Mexico that's putting the lives of many artists at risk. I talked to several of your colleagues, and they tell me that sometimes it's more difficult to travel through Mexico because the roads at night are very dangerous. Jenni Rivera risks her life every week. She said every day. Every day that I'm in Mexico, every weekend, every work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes 4 days. And yes, it's a risk that one's taking. And people say, why do you keep doing it? But in reality is, you do one thing that leads to another, that leads to another, that leads to another. Salutes.
Pero
and it leads you to not stopping.
Pueda decir uno que es por el amor también a lo
I
que
can't
uno
say
hace.
it's for the love.
El amor a lo que uno hace, el amor que le tengo
It's
a mi
love for
público.
what I do. It's love for my
Bueno,
audience.
chicos, escuchen ustedes esto. ¿Alguna vez su mamá les platicó, les comentó?
Listen, guys, did your mom
que
ever
se sentía
tell you that she felt
insegura, que había
insecure?
alguna amenaza,
That
algo
there
por
was
el
some
estilo?
threat?
¿Era frecuente
Something
esto
like that?
en la
Was
familia?
that common in the family?
That
That year I remember very well she had commented about one or two times she had commented about, I don't remember exactly where it was, but they spoke to her and told her not to go to a certain city in Mexico because if not they were going to unalive her. She left, she said, well, no way, I believe a lot in God. I'm going, I'm a responsible woman, and you know she was a responsible woman and she always showed her face. So we were asking God to, make sure she was good, and she arrived safely that time. And I heard something later, but she didn't say it to me. I just heard it secondhand while she was telling someone. But I don't know if that was the same time.
Nunca nos dijo
The son says she never told us exactly what was happening. To me personally, she just said she always had to be very strong for us.
Nomás dijo a mi tío Juan,
But she told my Uncle Juan
ella también que
and
nos
her
cuidara y que
to
ellos
take
saben
care of
dónde está
us.
el dinero y
and that they know where the money is.
That's what I always remember hearing. You guys know where the money is.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
That's a woman that was prepared. She's telling her kids, holler at your uncle. He know where the bread at. If anything happens to me, he knows where the bread at. That's a woman that got something on her mind. All right, we're going to continue.
Esta última entrevista que me
The
dio a mí.
interview. The last
Porque
interview she gave to me. Have you received calls?
Advirtiéndote, alertándote
Warnings?
de,
Alerting you?
de que hay gente que pretende hacerte daño.
That there are people who attempt to harm you?
En una próxima tocada.
At an upcoming gig in the city of
Así
Reynosa?
es.
She was leaving behind a plan, bro. Something. She was trying to, at least. You see it in the movies. They leave the manila folder. If this happens, this is going to come out. You know, she was leaving crumbs, man. Today's 4 o'clock on Wednesday, July 27th.
Y yo quise hacer esa entrevista con usted, Pepe,
And I wanted to
porque
do this interview with you,
hoy
Pepe,
mismo
because
recibí
today
una llamada, mi
I received a call.
business manager, Pete.
My
Recibí
business
un
manager,
correo
Pete,
mío
received an email from a
en
person who's
Arizona,
doing an event
empresarios de
of
aquí,
mine in
casinos.
Arizona.
Y
Businessmen from
el
here
FBI se
in
comunicó
casinos.
con ellos, queriendo
And the
comunicarse con
FBI
Jenni
contacted
Rivera.
them wanting
Ellos
to
se
communicate
comunicaron con
with
Pete
Jenni
Salgado.
Rivera.
Pete me habla a mí.
They
Casi
contacted
Pete
Delgado
y yo somos de
about speaking to
BBM,
me.
de texto, que el
Told me it's an
FBI
important call
quería hablar conmigo,
that the
quería
FBI wanted to
comunicarse
talk to me.
conmigo.
He wanted to communicate with me.
Y
Spoke to them. I told him talk to them first.
Y lo hizo.
See what
Ya
they want. He
Pete
did.
se comunicó conmigo y me dice que
He already
quieren hablar
contacted
conmigo
me.
de una amenaza,
He wants to
de-
talk to me about
de
a snatching,
un
a
secuestro,
kidnapping threat,
amenaza de muerte,
an unaliving
para mi
threat
presentación del 29 de julio
for my
en
presentation on July
Tamaulipas.
29th
Y
in
entonces ya
Reynosa,
fue cuando yo me comuniqué con
Tamaulipas.
ellos.
And then
Querían
that was
verme
when I
en
contacted them.
persona.
They wanted to see
Dije
me.
que con gusto, y al
He
final
thought in
de
person.
cuentas, les
I
di
said
mi
that I
número
would be
celular,
happy to
les
see
dije,
him. At the
"Comuníquese
end of the day,
conmigo".
I gave them my cell phone number and I told them to contact me. And the probability
Sea
that this call is
una
a
falsa alarma.
false alarm.
¿Tú crees que sí existe, digamos?
Does it exist? It exists?
Es probable que
It
estas
is
personas
it likely that
estén
these
haciendo
people are
pasar por agentes del FBI.
posing as
Oh,
FBI
No, son
agents?
reales.
Son reales. O
Son
sea, tú
reales, sí.
But
Yo
they're
me
not
comuniqué
real?
con ellos y me mandaron un
Yes, I
correo con los
contacted them and they
números a
sent me
las
an email
oficinas
with the
para asegurar
numbers.
precisamente eso de
It
que no
goes to
sean
the office to make
gente
sure that they are
que
not
se está haciendo
people
pasar por
who are
agentes
posing
del FBI. No, hablé
as
con
FBI
la gente
agents.
es de la
I did
oficina
not
del
speak with the
FBI
people
de
from the San
San
Diego
números
FBI office.
correctos. Con
I
el agente
contacted
me
the
dijo
agent.
que
He told me that he received a call
persona con mucha credibilidad
from a very
en
credible
Reynosa,
person in
Tamaulipas.
Reynosa, Tamaulipas, that there are rumors
Rumores y no rumores,
And
sino que es una
non-rumors,
realidad de que Jenni Rivera será
but
secuestrada.
a reality
este
that Jenni
fin de
Rivera
semana
will
en
be
Reynosa, Tamaulipas.
snatched this weekend in Reynosa, Tamaulipas. What decision are you
con
making
respecto
regarding
a
attending
asistir a este
or not
evento,
attending this event?
bueno, tener-
Are you good, first of all? I mean,
y-
with
y
peace
qué
of
va-
mind?
¿Qué vas a hacer?
What peace of mind can you have, and what's going on? What are you gonna do? What are you feeling? Feel uneasy because people are already involved
Pero-
professionally, right?
Yo-
I have to go,
Y le pedí a mi esposo,
and I asked my husband.
jugando,
He always
regresa a jugar
travels
en
with me now that
septiembre,
he's not playing.
pero siempre me acompaña
He
y yo
returns
le
to
pedí
playing now in
que se
September, but he
quedara,
always
que se
accompanies me, and I
quedara
asked him to stay
con hijos,
to stay
por
with
si
my
algo llega a
children.
suceder, pues,
in case something happens.
me voy yo sola, que no se vaya mi esposo
I'm
conmigo.
leaving alone so that my husband doesn't leave with me. Bruh, she was laying it all out, and she wasn't telling dude no. She wasn't hiding anything from Pepe. She was letting it be known. I'm planning shit. I told my husband to stay home so that the whole household don't get wiped out, and it might just be one. Now this is days before that performance is to happen, and it sounds like it's the same performance that this young lady was talking about, her daughter. That she says when she was young, she remembered them, you know, a buzz about what was happening.
Que tenía esta
At
certeza.
that time, were you aware that the FBI had called
Esa
and that they
amenaza.
had certainty that the threat was real? She said no, she didn't
Me
know.
di cuenta,
He said, I realized when
leí el libro.
I read
que
the
ella
book
habló un poquito de
because
eso
she talked a
en el
little bit
libro,
about
pero
it
creo
in the
que
book.
Nunca nos dijo.
But I don't
que no
think she ever
quería,
told us
que nosotros,
because she didn't want us to worry.
y pues, especialmente a mí, imagínate, yo solo tenía 10
Especially to
años,
me, imagine. I was only 10 years old at the time, so of course. There have been things in Jenni's life
Nació
that
para ser
seem
una
like she was
leyenda, ¿no? O sea,
born to
cosas como
to
el
be a
haber dejado
legend.
una entrevista como esta,
Things like
o el
having
haber
left an
cantado
interview like this
canciones
one, or
como
having sung
Cuando
songs
muere
like
una dama,
When One
o
Dies.
sea, es
que
Many people
cuando
don't know
ella
that she kind of
que
had
iba
an
a
inkling
fallecer, que iba a ser trágico. Porque ella,
of
y
when,
también
that she
ella
was
estaba
going to go
muy
tragically.
obsesionada con cosas como JFK.
Because she was very
um,
obsessed with things like the
incluso
JFK
casos de
assassination.
Ana,
Iba a ser una
Think like
muerte
she
ya,
sensed
cómo tenía que
that her
dejar,
unaliving was not going to be a
especialmente
regular
en los últimos
unaliving.
años.
She was leaving something behind,
a
especially in the last few years. This one to me, out of the times that I talked to her the last few times, well,
su deseo era,
oh, he said his wish for her was to retire and do a residency in Vegas, to be home all the time. The daughter said she was tired.
No sé si te acuerdas, pero 3
And the
días
son
antes
said
del
in
accidente,
February, I don't know if you remember, but
confirmaron
3 days
serie de
before the
ABC,
accident, they confirmed the series of
iban a
ABC.
empezar a grabar en
They were going to
febrero,
start recording in
y
February.
ella iba a cantar, creo
And she
que
was gonna
una de las
sing.
últimas veces en el Gibson
I
en
think one of the
marzo.
last times in March. So she was moving
Y,
on with her
pues,
career.
Creo que la residencia iba a
And I think the
empezar en
residency
agosto.
was going to start in August. Oh, so she had a regular. So they were just hoping to get to that finish line to where she could go sit down. The way she told me, she was living in an environment that she didn't like. Do you feel like there's a reason at this given moment why these people want to warn you? Is it an economic issue, or do you believe that? I mean, what do you imagine? What do you think? Because there are people who are specifically this type of people. They want to harm you. She's making it clear, my business is nothing illegal, nothing illicit. I'm a legit business. A lot of hard work. I don't get involved with people. I would like the people to know that when people have obviously gone to my presentations, that if people ask me to take a picture and they're repping something or they have their flag or whatever, I'm not going to deny it to people from different groups. Different groups of cartels ask me for photographs. I don't deny it. I'm there, of course, with great pleasure. You and your whole family, I take photos with them. I treat them with great respect. There's no problems with anyone. There's no problems with no group, no cartel, no one. But last year, before going on stage at the Arena of Monterrey, I also received a tweet that said, if you go up to sing, the Zetas are going to unalive you. And well, what did I do? I turned off my phone. I got on singing. Yes, I felt bad physically, but tense, but you get stressed, but I got up and I sang. And it went very well. On other occasions in Michoacán, my fans have told me that there were rumors that they were going to cut off, that they were going to take her head off. How much of that is rumor? I'm sure there's a lot of that. That adds to the stress of her being an artist and, you know, traveling and going all these places and placating these people and keeping people happy. If it's true that she just dealt with these people at surface level, right? But what we're hearing is that there might have been something deeper than surface level. And with the history and her husband and all of that, and the history of the father, like, they probably don't want that for the image. But if it exists and it's part of the play, then it's part of the play. She said it's not just with me, it's a lot of people, a lot of artists go through this and they get these threats. They want to scare the artist to see if the event fails. Could be the competition. That's what we realized. That the competition, the businessmen, are the ones who start to spread these rumors to affect the sale of tickets and obviously the number of people who go to the presentation. But that's what's happened. It's been happening for a long time, but it's never involved agents of the FBI. Someone like the FBI who are people that are serious people.
Nada que ver, ellos están en Estados Unidos, ellos simplemente
they don't have nothing to do with my concerts. They're in the United States. They're involved.
me están queriendo grabar mi llamada y decir
wanting to record they're simply wanting to record my call and tell you, let me warn you,
que no vayas.
don't go.
Chicos, yo siempre he decidido de que
now he's talking to the kids again. He said, kids, I've always decided that
sido de alguna manera
I've been in some way a defender
de muchos artistas,
of many artists, especially Jenni.
Pues empezaron a aparecer fotografías de ella.
When photographs of her began to appear,
no sé, con la hija de no sé cuál.
The one with the son of I don't know who. I'm not with the daughter of I don't know which. Alleged mafia characters. Okay, so he's talking about when he would see her in picture. He would defend her, I guess publicly, when he would see her in pictures with Cartel people and stuff like that. She said she's just taking pictures.
Es que son gente que va
I always say,
a
man,
los
these people are the
eventos,
people
que
that go
tienen
to the events,
influencias en el pueblo
who have
donde es,
influence in the
y al
town,
final pues tienen
or
sus
where the
lu-
event's
tienen
at.
sus-
And at the end of the day, they have
tienen
their
sus lugares
places.
especiales y se los dan,
They
y
ask
se
for their
toman
special
fotografías,
places, they're giving them, they take
pues, con los
photographs,
artistas, ¿verdad?
and
Y eso no es culpa del artista, eso ya es
true
un
artists, it's not the
fenómeno,
fault of the
pues,
artist.
ya que está en todo
That
México,
is
y
already a
entonces,
phenomenon
a mí me
because it's all over
que,
Mexico.
Gente
And then it hurt me
inconsciente,
that unconscious
gente,
people,
pues sí,
let's say
inconsciente
people
o
unconscious
malintencionado
or
por vender,
ill-intentioned,
quisiera hacer
I guess clickbait, would like to make
con
comments
personajes que se
on
dedican
how
a
to
lo
relate it
ilícito,
to
¿no?
Sí,
characters.
eso siempre me molesta.
He's basically saying I defended her when people, it's not the artist's fault that this is what these guys do. These guys got money. They get their own sections. They want to take pictures. The artist takes pictures with them. That's not the artist's fault. But then people want to use it as clickbait. People want to use it for crazy reasons. They want to make money. They want to put these pictures out and say, oh, she's connected to the mob. She's connected to this. She's connected to that. He said, yeah, that always bothers me because the media talks about it like every year, once a year. And well, I don't want.
No quiero cosas que no son ciertas.
I don't want things
Mi
that
mamá,
aren't true
que se escuchen
about
la
my
gente y se
mom
creen eso,
that you
porque
hear people say.
Mi mamá
they
pues,
believe.
trabajó y
Como dice ella ahí, ella les daba a todos el
And like she
respeto
said, she gave everyone the respect to take pictures
que
with
se
them,
merecían y los
whatever they
atendía.
deserved, and took care of
Pues
them.
sí, o sea, eso es
Pues
una
sí,
cosa
que
que...
trabaja en México en este mundo del regional mexicano.
It's something that
no
works in
necesita que
Mexico,
se
in
le
the world
explique
of
demasiado,
Mexican regional music.
para estas
Does
cosas
not
de-
need to be
de
explained too
fotografías,
much about these things of
una
photographs
convivencia en
and
el evento,
coexistence
para tomarse
at the
una foto,
event.
saludar
People
a
are
alguien, ¿no?
always
Entonces,
around each other. Artists are always around the streets are always around artists, period. Taking pictures, meet and greets, all of that shit.
pues,
So it seems
para
like a good time to
aclarar y
clarify
limpiar eso,
and clean that.
Gracias.
She was a
trabajó,
person who worked extra
de hecho,
hard.
ya ella decía, es que yo lo que quiero estar haciendo, pues,
She
estar
wanted
en
to
mi
be
casa. A mí
home,
me gusta hacerles de
doing
comer a
things
mis
at home,
hijos, darles
feeding
pan
the
en la mañana,
children
llevarlos a la escuela.
in the morning, taking them to school. He's saying she wanted to get her job done, her work done, sing, and get home to her family, whether they were at the hotel, whether it was at home. Imagine when she leaves the stage, the first thing she's thinking is that I want to go back home. I want to see
No,
Sheila.
claro,
He said, when I was talking to her, I'd tell her, look, all of those who come here to sing want to be you. And you want to be the ones that is the one in the house and doing things with the family. If she was home, this tragedy definitely doesn't happen.
Su forma de llevarse la parte de profesional, ¿no?
She would have changed the way of carrying herself on the part from the professional.
Yo creo que sí, definitivamente.
Bueno, pues escuchamos
Let's keep
la
listening.
siguiente parte.
Yo no quiero imaginarme la posición en la que está Esteban, porque
I don't want to imagine
Porque
the
es mi
position
esposo,
Esteban's
porque
in
me ama.
because he's my husband and because he
porque
loves
sabe
me
lo decidida que
because
soy,
he
lo
knows how
valiente que
determined I
soy
am,
y
how
cuánto
brave
amo a
I
mi
am,
público.
and how much I love my audience.
Que si no voy, Pepe, si no voy,
If I don't
también va a
go,
haber
Pepe,
problemas.
O sea,
if I don't
no,
go,
independientemente
there will also
de
be
esto,
another
bueno, ya
problem.
se trata de
He cut her off. There'll be another problem. She's saying it's going to be bad if I don't go, and he's like, yeah, bad for the career or for life.
Pues yo pienso que todos digamos toda la vida, ¿no? O sea, entonces,
Okay, whether you attend or don't attend this event,
tú sientes
Corro
que
riesgo.
puede ser un riesgo.
Lo que
could
sucedió
be a
fue
risk.
que en univision.com
what happened was that
alguien
Univision.com
puso un post, un
Someone
comentario de que le
posted
avisaran a
a
Jenni
comment
Rivera que
that
su
they should
presentación en
notify
Reynosa,
Jenni
Tamaulipas,
Rivera about her
que no
presentation in
asistiera
Reynosa,
porque,
Tamaulipas,
decían
that
que
she
le iban
should
a
not
matar a
attend
algunas
because they said
personas.
some people are coming to unalive
Univision.com
her.
se comunica con la disquera me avisa a mí.
Univision.com
Entonces, esto ya
contacts the
viene de
record
hace
label,
3
the
o 4
record company
semanas.
notifies me.
Yo me comunico con mi equipo
Then it's
y
been
les
3 or
digo
4 weeks
quién
now.
puso
I
esta
communicate
fecha,
with my team and tell them who set this
para
date,
cuándo, cuánta seguridad hay, que
how much security
y
is
era
there.
tarde para cancelar con
And it
las
was already
personas
too
con las
late to
cuales
cancel with the people
hicieron el contrato.
with whom they
Entonces,
made the contract.
no hay manera para mí
So there's
de
no way for
hacerme para
me
atrás.
to back
y
out.
si no llega, si estos rumores son
And if
falsos,
it doesn't arrive, if
si
these
no
rumors
llego a
are false,
trabajar, entonces sí me meto en un problema.
If I don't get to work, then I will get into a problem. She's basically saying, listen, I don't take this threat seriously, something can happen to me. If I do take this threat seriously and I don't show up to this concert, I'm doing bad business and I'm in trouble. He said, have you been to Reynosa to sing? She said, I went last year, I went to Reynosa
Canté ahí, no hubo
once.
ningún
I sang
problema.
there, there was no problem.
Bien.
Well,
todo el mundo sabe lo que es Reynosa, es donde
Everyone knows what Reynosa is.
pues mataron a nuestro amigo
It's where they unalived our
Valentín.
friend Valentín.
Y yo supe,
Valentín.
después de eso he ido unas
And
dos
I knew after
veces a
that,
cantar ahí a
I went about
Reynosa.
2 times to
El
sing
año
there in
pasado
Reynosa
fui
last year. It was a massive event.
Ha habido mucha
18,000
intranquilidad,
people.
mucho problema.
There had been a lot of unrest, a lot of trouble in
Esa
Reynosa.
noche me subí a cantar. Iba
So
a
that
subir
night
a
I
cantar,
got
ya
up to
estaba la
sing, and I was
presentación,
going to
ya
get up to
estaba la banda
sing.
tocando
The
el primer
presentation
tema,
was
la entrada
already
del
on,
primer
and the
tema.
band was playing the first
Y
song, the entrance
no
of the
sé qué
first song.
sucedió, que
And I don't know what happened.
pensaron que venían,
They
no
thought
sé
they were
qué.
coming. I don't know what.
¿Qué grupo de
¿Qué grupo?
delincuentes?
They thought a
¿Qué
group
grupo?
was coming.
Se rumoraba eso, que era un
It
grupo
was
de tal
rumored
personas y
there
y
was a
esa
group of such and
multitud de
such
gente
people,
empezó a correr rumbo al escenario
and the crowd began
y,
to
pues,
run
junto con
towards the
ellos
stage.
corrí yo por las calles de Reynosa.
Together with them, we ran through the streets of Reynosa.
Por las calles de Reynosa, eso fue el año pasado, estaba mi esposo conmigo.
That
mi
was last year.
manager,
My husband was
la
with
gente
me,
de
my
mi
manager,
equipo. Nos
people
escondimos
from
en
my
una
team.
camioneta porque
We hid in a
decían que
van
venían
because
armados. Y entonces
they
no
said they
pude
came
ni
to
cantar, no
arm.
alcancé ni más que a subir
And I
dos
couldn't even
escalones
sing. I didn't even
del
manage to
escenario.
climb 2 steps from
Como
the
me dijeron que
stage.
corriera, que me
They
metiera
told
en
me
la
to
camioneta.
run. He asked
No
me to get into the
necesariamente hacerme
truck.
un daño a mí,
I
pero
wouldn't-
uno en
it
ese
wouldn't-
momento no sabes qué
It wouldn't necessarily hurt me, but at this moment, you don't know.
Y
what's happening,
pues
man.
me metí a la
So I
camioneta,
got
la
into the
camioneta
truck.
estaba atorada, había
Truck was
bloqueada
stuck.
por una
It
ven
was
donde
blocked
el
by a
chofer
road
también había corrido.
where the driver had
Entonces no
also
podía
run.
salir
So I couldn't get out.
más que agarrarme y quitarme mis botas de
More than
tacón
just
alto
grabbing
y
and taking off
correr
my high heel
descalza
boots and
por
running
las calles
barefoot
de
through the
Reynosa
streets
junto con
of
18,000
Reynosa,
personas que
along with 18,000
simplemente querían
people.
seguir viviendo.
Just
Pues eso
continuing
pasó
to
el año
live.
pasado.
Well, that happened last
pasó el
year.
año pasado y no había
Happened
vuelto,
last year and I hadn't
ni había
returned.
contratos.
Nor
Pero
were
ahora
there
me
any
encuentro con que
contracts.
existe este contrato de
But now I
trabajo
find myself
con
with that
gente
there
muy,
is
muy importante
this
que yo
employment
tengo.
contract
Yo
with
siento
very,
que-
very important people. Yo, I feel like she's saying she didn't have a contract and that Univision reported a contract and she's trying to figure out how that contract happened. Kind of crazy. If that's what she's insinuating. She said, did you know about that?
Wow.
She said, no.
Es que pasaban muchas cosas en la
Sí.
vida de...
There were a lot of things
de-
happening in her
Yo
life.
creo que no quería que nos preocupáramos. y
I
no
think
nos
she didn't
contaba
want us
estas
to worry.
cosas.
She didn't tell us these things.
Wow.
Esta es la primera
Wow,
vez
this
que
is the
sucede.
first time I've heard
Sí,
that.
me imagino la escena. Y
I
debe
imagine
haber
the
sido,
scene and it must have been
pues,
very
muy
panicking.
entrar en pánico y luego aparte ella como una celebridad.
And apart from being
debe
a
haber sido
celebrity,
una cosa muy, muy difícil.
it was a
Sí.
very difficult thing.
Pues seguimos escuchando.
So she already felt iffy about that place, man. She was already off about that. She said, I go up on stage and I think my job is to entertain these people for a few hours and make them forget everything.
Que no podamos,
How
que no
sad
sea
that
tan
we
fácil
can't.
ya hacerlo. Que
That it's
ya
not so
se han
easy
metido
to do.
pues muchos otros factores que
That many other
peligran,
factors
que-
have already been
que dan
involved that are
miedo,
jeopardizing
no solamente a
jeopardizing
mí,
that.
yo creo que a todos mis compañeros
They not only scare
de
me, but they
trabajo,
scare all
y
my
tengo la gran
coworkers, and
fortuna de que
I'm very
de que,
fortunate
pues hay mucha solicitud de trabajo en este momento y
that there are
y
many,
que la gente
a
me
lot of
quiere
work,
ver
that
y
there's
la
a lot
gente
of
está
work at
dispuesta
this
a pagar
moment,
para
and the
verme
people want to
cantar,
see me,
pero
and people are
pues
willing to pay to
también,
see me,
ha llegado
see
el
me
momento en
sing.
el cual yo tengo que decidir pues qué voy a
But the
hacer.
time is also coming which I have to
Incluso,
decide what am I
pues,
going to do.
al grabar esta entrevista acabamos de salir de una
When we leave here, I mean, I'm going to go talk about my television program that's been a big dream of mine.
algo que yo siempre quiero hacer toda mi
It's
vida.
been something
mi
that I've always
programa de
wanted to do all
radio
my
también,
life.
para hablar con
My
mi
radio
gente, para
show,
estar más
also
en
to
Los
talk to my
Ángeles, para
people, to
no
be more in
tener
Los
que cantar,
Angeles. She didn't want to be in Mexico no more, so that I don't have to sing so
para
much.
no dedicarme ya.
She was ready to do one of those runs. Just get the run, get the money, go sit down for a few years, have some heartache, write some new songs, come back, drop a cold-ass album, a comeback album, do a big tour. She had an idea of what she wanted. I'm hoping she didn't allow those things to get in her way. I'm hoping that they pushed their way into her life rather than her inviting them in. You know what I mean? To be more in Los Angeles so that I don't have to sing so much. So that I don't have to dedicate myself so much to my artistic career. It actually hurts me because I know it's going to hurt my audience. They say, who's going to sing for us? But I do want them to know that all these plans are the ones I have at the moment. For the same reason, for me, for my life, for my children, for what's happening in Mexico, and for the goals that I've always had, which I want to make clear. He said we've discussed that those were Jenni's plans. To have her program on radio, to be able to take him to school. It was like another version
ella nomás quería ser una mamá.
of mom because she just wanted to be a mother.
También eso era algo que la llenaba mucho
Estaba
de
enamorada.
alegría, ¿no?
Especialmente...
Grandma, that's also something that filled her with a lot of joy. She wanted to be a grandma, especially at the time because Jackie was already going to hunt.
Ella estaba enamorada de Jayla.
Going to hunt? She's a hunter? What happened here? They had to lose something in translation.
Y pues ya no.
Okay, so I guess she had a grandbaby. She wanted to live and be a grandmother as well. She had the right idea, man. In one of the programs, they talked about it, but
me dijo, oiga,
she told me,
me escriba,
I want you
escriba
to
una
write to me.
canción para mi disco que se llame Joyas Prestadas.
I want you to write a song for my album called Borrowed Jewels.
Y me dijo,
And I also want this song to talk about my daughters because I know they're going to leave.
Son unas joyas de mi vida.
So they're lent
Entonces,
to
me
me.
dijo eso. Y yo nunca
There are some jewels
nunca
of
la
my
pude
life,
escribir.
so I talk about that, and I
Nunca la
could
pude
never write it.
escribir porque,
I could never
pues,
write it
no se dan las
because
cosas, ¿no? O sea,
things didn't
nunca he
happen.
sido así, si
No,
me nace lo puedo
I've
hacer,
never
o
been
si
like
se me
that.
ocurre.
If it comes to mind, I can do it. That is, if it occurs to
Tal que
me.
no lo hice.
I totally didn't do
pero
it.
Eso era lo que ella tenía en su mente y como ella
That
los veía
one,
todos sus
that was what she had in her mind, and how she saw all of you.
That's what she says about you, Jenica, and Jackie here on that album.
Yeah.
Los,
Well, we'll keep listening.
¿Has pensado en definitiva dejar de cantar, dejar de
Have you thought, in short, to
de
stop
trabajar en
singing,
México?
stop working in Mexico?
Algo, digamos,
Let's say something like this.
pues fingir alguna enfermedad o
Have you thought of pretending to have an illness, or
Embarazarme.
or say that your voice is? She said, or say that my voice run out, or get pregnant. Sounds like something's wrong with the recording at that point. Been thinking a lot about stopping singing and letting myself dedicate myself to this because I don't want to continue traveling in the United States or in Mexico. I don't want to be far from home. I don't want to be outside of Los Angeles. I want to be here with my family, with the people I love. I love it. Although my audience also loves it in a very special way. But when things like this happen, those types of threats happen.
¿Cómo se grabó esto? Porque se escucha como un PC o un...
Ok, sí, exacto.
He's asking him how did you record this because it sounds like a PC. I guess he's hearing the crackles. This was recorded on a computer down there.
Pero,
but it turns
que,
out,
pues yo pensé que esa entrevista nunca se iba a usar y soy
well, I thought this interview was never going to
una
be
persona
used.
muy dispersa, entonces
And I'm a very
grabé
scattered
un CD,
person.
borré el original en el
So I
estudio,
recorded a CD. I deleted the original
me quedé yo solamente con
in
esa
the
copia.
studio,
Y me fui
and I only kept that
ya
copy.
cuando me fui, le mandé, puse Last
and I
Diva.
left and I
Así le
put
puse
Last
como
Diva
Last.
on it. I mean, I think you should have took it a little more serious, Papa. She did. You know what I mean? She didn't come in there under bullshit pretenses. And then I
Eché
put
el
it in the
CD
trunk
sin
in
caja,
the
ni
truck
nada.
in the middle.
Y ahí anduvo.
CD without a
Ahí
box or
estuvo,
anything,
le
and there it
echaba cosas
was.
encima,
I
otros
put things
discos,
on top of
teléfonos sin
it,
caja.
other
Entonces,
discs,
cuando
phones without a box.
sucede el fallecimiento,
So when your mom passes away,
me acuerdo de la
I remember
entrevista y
the
digo,
interview.
todavía está aquí.
And I
Entonces
say,
lo
let me see if
encuentro,
it's still
y el
here.
disco estaba
So I find it,
rayadísimo.
and the disc was very scratched. Well, por pendejo, you know, shout out Pepe Garza, but shout out Pepe, bro, but you dropped the ball, bro. So when I put it in the computer, it tells me, do you want to fix the audio? I say yes, and it compressed it a lot. So listening to the voice is a little like with an effect. Shorty looking at him like, did you make this shit up? Huh? Is this AI? Did you get my mama on some AI shit? It's compressed, so a lot of the voices have little effect. And on the other hand, there are also scratches that could not be
Entonces es
repaired.
porque en teoría esta entrevista nunca se iba a escuchar. O sea,
So because in theory, this interview was never going to be
yo
heard.
le dije, un día que estamos viejitos la ponemos.
That is, I told her one day we'll be old and we'll put it on. You know what I'm saying? Well, you didn't expect it to last too long, papas. You threw that shit in the armrest.
Le dije yo a Jenni, y ya. Porque yo jamás
He said, we look at it when we're old. Let's put it on, I told Jenni. And now,
pensé que esto iba,
because
que
I
se
never
iba
thought this would
a
happen to
salir a la
me,
luz la entrevista, ¿no?
that the interview was going to come to light. But, well,
Hay más todavía de esto.
there's even more.
Yo no quiero creer
To this.
para nada que esta entrevista se va no sé,
If
la
I
verdad,
thought
pues,
for a
qué
second
amarro,
that this
güey.
would come
no
out,
sé qué hago, no sé.
I wouldn't know what
No
to
sé
do.
qué hago, ¿no? Está
I believe that
buscando,
there are people who are trying to
asustar y que
scare.
todas las cosas van a salir.
Some people would think that and would say that and take the threat lightly. Why? Because it's something they want to believe. Some people say things because it's what they want to believe instead of it being common sense. Hey, man, this could be a real threat. Maybe she shouldn't be there. He's saying, nah, I think this is just people trying to scare you because you don't want to believe that shit, Papa. That's not in your wheelhouse. You don't want to have that thought on your mind. He said, and God's not going to allow it to happen. I firmly believe that this will happen. This will not happen. Therefore, I dare to ask you,
antes de llegar al fin de esta plática,
before reaching the end of this talk,
¿qué sería el mensaje que quieres
what would
dejar
be the
al
messages
final de esta plática?
that you want to leave at the end of this talk
Repito que vamos nunca más a volver.
that I don't believe, and I repeat, that will never be heard again?
Pues, ¿qué le puedo decir?
Well, what can I tell you?
Que es tan importante para mí lo que hago, Pepe, que
What I do is
soy
important to
una
me,
mujer,
Pepe.
sí, muy valiente,
I'm a
muy
woman,
decidida. Y por
very
eso estoy
brave,
aquí.
very
Nadie
determined.
sabe, incluso ni
That's
mi
why I'm
familia
here.
sabe.
No one
¿Sabe
knows,
usted,
not even
Pepe
my
Garza?
family knows, you know?
No
Pepe?
saben mis
Pepe
amigos,
Garza?
no saben mis
My
compañeros,
friends don't know,
no
my
sabe
colleagues
nadie
don't know.
de
Nobody
esto.
knows about this.
Y así lo he decidido yo
And
porque
that's
no
what
quiero
I've
asustar
decided
más
because I don't
gente.
want to scare more
No
people.
necesitamos más intranquilidad.
We don't
en
need
el-
more unrest in the world.
Me voy a ir a trabajar.
I'm going to go to
Estoy
work.
pensando en dejar a mi
I'm
esposa
thinking
con
about
mis
leaving my
hijos,
husband here with my children.
que él me encuentre en Monterrey el sábado.
Let him meet me in Monterrey on Saturday.
Y creo en un Dios todopoderoso
And I think and I believe
que como
in
me
an
ha
almighty
sacado
God
adelante de muchas
that
cosas,
he's gotten me through many things. She's crying as she says it.
que me va a sacar de esta
He's going to
también,
get me out of this too.
y que yo le sirvo más
And
a
that I
Dios
serve
viva.
God more
Le
alive.
sirvo más a Dios viva que muerta.
I serve God more alive
Y que
than
quiero a mi público y
unalived.
que por eso
And that I
con
love my
todo
audience,
respeto quise
and that therefore,
dejar esto grabado
that with all
con
due
usted,
respect,
con usted que,
I did leave this recorded with you.
que aquí empezó Jenni
Jenni
Rivera,
Rivera
y si va a
started
terminar,
here.
aquí va a terminar.
And if it's going to end here, it's
Pues,
going to end.
Yo que lo he escuchado varias veces. Me
He said,
sigo
well, I've heard it
conmoviendo,
several
¿no?
times. I'm still moved.
Y pues era la voluntad de ella que se
It was her
supiera,
will
que la gente
that it would be
conociera la
known,
entrevista,
that
¿no?
people
Creo
knew
que no
about the
estamos,
interview.
Violando
I don't
ninguna otra
believe
cosa
that we are
que no
not
sea,
violating, I don't
es
believe
más
that we
bien
are violating
haciendo
anything
su voluntad,
other
pero
than
por
that. It's
cuestión de
rather that we're
seguridad yo
doing her
decidí
will. But for
esperar
security
un tiempo
reasons,
para
I
que no se
decided to
fuera a
wait a while
tergiversar una escena con lo que pasó
so that a
mucho
scene
tiempo
would
o
not be
cierto
distorted
tiempo
with
después,
what
¿no?
happened
Esto
a
fue
lot, what
una
happens a
de
lot,
lo
which
que
is what
pasó
happens a lot.
mucho tiempo o cierto tiempo después, ¿no?
Or
Esto fue
sometimes-
una de
sometime
las
later.
muchas ocasiones
On many
en las que,
occasions,
Jenni estaba
which
pues,
Jenni
teniendo,
was
peligrando por
in
su vida, ¿no?
danger
No, yo la verdad se lo agradezco
for her
mucho
life.
que se lo haya guardado tanto tiempo, ya van a ser 7 años. Y se lo agradezco.
Me hace
So I
mucho-
believe he filmed this, I don't know, or recorded it maybe 2.5, 3 years before she passed away, maybe? Because he's saying 7 years, but it took 10 years for the tape to come out. So I'm throwing 3 years. They say it's 7 years at this point. She said, I appreciate
me
it.
hace muy feliz que esto
And he said it makes him very happy.
ya sale a luz porque esa es mi
To bring this to light. He said, because that's my
todas
mother.
las cosas que dicen de ella que son falsos,
All the things that they say about her are
creo
false.
que con eso
Aclara muchas cosas, ¿no?
I think that cleared up many things.
Pues chicos, yo les agradezco mucho que me hayan permitido este
I'm
momento.
very grateful that you have allowed me this
íntimo
moment,
con ustedes.
this
Yo
intimate moment
sé,
with you.
Lo que su mamá, lo que significaban ustedes para ella, ¿no? A veces leo que hay gente
I know
que
what
dice,
your mother said, what
sí,
she meant. Sometimes I read that there are people who say, yes, this business is good, and I say it's what she wanted because she worked every day for her children.
Canción lo dice, o sea, nada
And in the
hace
same
más feliz
song,
en
she
este
says, "It's
momento
nothing makes
a
me
alguien donde
happier
quiera
at
que
this
esté,
moment."
que todo lo que su legado pueda ser útil para ustedes, que son sus hijos. Esa es la
Legacy
realidad.
can be useful for you with your children. That is the reality.
Entonces, y para la gente que
Alright,
pues, es
salutes
por
to
ocurrentes,
Jenni
ya ves que
Rivera.
esto en las redes sociales cualquiera opinamos y piensen que
So
bueno,
there's people
porque
making money with her image, and so is it good?
eso ella
If it
fue.
benefits her
Ella
family,
murió trabajando para esta familia, o sea,
She already
¿qué
died
vamos a
working
esperar?
for this
¿Que
family, so
otros
what are you gonna
personajes, que
expect?
otros periodistas, que Pepe Garza haga dinero en lugar de su familia? No. Entonces yo lo respaldo totalmente.
salute Pepe Garza for releasing that. What would I call it? A time capsule of a mother's love to her children, of a woman's desire to uplift her audience, a woman with a plan, a woman that was proactive. She was proactive. She wasn't sitting around waiting for disaster to strike. It did. Eventually it did. But she cleared up a lot with that. Or said what she wanted to say. But the fact that she would do that she would just even reach out to him to do that, is a testament to who she was. With that said, do we think that she was all up in it? Bad boy boyfriends, all up in the game, making friends, making business associates, crossed somebody, did something wrong, some overzealous cartel boss decide he's done with her, decide she didn't do something he wanted her to do? Huh? I still haven't seen much evidence other than they say, oh, there's pictures and a witness's testimony. Could have just been a plane that malfunctioned and fell out the sky. How often does that happen?